Hello everyone, I'm Max McAllister. I'm back with another episode in our how to build an epic FireRock fireplace, outdoor fireplace that is, and Waterwall feature. And we have made a lot of progress tonight. I'm just kind of pounding out videos here one after the other. Oops, sorry for whacking my microphone. The picture you're looking at here is our completed firebox. And so where we stopped last is we have our full, complete FireRock fireplace erected. The firebox has been completed. And this was a dry fitting of our gas log lighter. Again, I can't tell you how important this one single feature is to your fireplace. It will multiply your enjoyment by 1,000 times by allowing you to pretty much instantly light a fire, get your logs burning, turn it off, sit down, enjoy the beautiful smell of the wood and the crackling, and get the relaxation happening. Now, I can supply you with this part that I found on Amazon. It's a cast iron part. Everything else, don't buy from a specialty company. It's all available at Home Depot. You can just walk over and get it for pennies. The gas log companies sell it. It's very expensive. This is just black pipe they sell at Home Depot. They're giant pipe nipples. You'll want to go and buy a huge assortment so that you can fit them into your structure. You're going to use hand drill and diamond-tipped hole saws, which are designed to cut through masonry to make the holes in the wall as you need to, and the holes in your cinder blocks. So they have a specific hole saw, just like you're used to seeing for boring in wood, but it's specifically designed, obviously, to cut in stone. So you're going to look for them diamond-tipped. They're not outrageous. Diamond tip sounds outrageous, but it's not. It only costs a few bucks more. All right. So I hinted early on that I made a mistake as an amateur in doing this project that if I could do again, I would not do. And that is, I just kind of got excited and wanted to see one Woodbox done. You can't do that, don't do that, shouldn't do that, wouldn't do that. If you're going to have a project that extends whatever its range is, you pretty much have to lay every course of blocks for the whole project. And then when you're done with that course, proceed on to the next course. Don't do what I did here, because in the end, my project ended up off from side to side by a 1/4 of an inch. You don't know the pain that causes me to have my wood boxes be off by a 1/4 of an inch. Now, no one in the universe will see or can tell that they're off by a 1/4 of an inch, but they are. And so the only way you could tell it, if you were to analyze, if you were a very skilled mason, would be to come and observe the angle of the stone that passes behind my FireRock fireplace and see that the angle is slightly off as it goes across the two. No one will ever notice that. But the way I built this project, when it was done, if I had stuccoed it, my stonework was my block work was of the caliber that it was as if I was making perfect walls in spite of the fact that we were going to cover them completely with stone. I just wanted my project to come out as good as it possibly could. Now, again, I've talked about this earlier in another video, if you take the time and try and work towards perfection, right, then even if you're not perfect, the result is going to be very, very good, right? So if you take the time, strive for perfection, the result will be close to perfection. And that's better than you're probably going to get from a mason contractor who hires, a shit ton of illegal aliens that come in your backyard and just sling blocks up all day long. They're going to come in and blow this thing out and leave and charge you $50,000. All right, so you can do better if you take the time and you lay the blocks and you give the care and you put the love into your project. All right, so but again, what I did wrong, not going constantly course to course, level to level as I went up. All right, so that was my lesson to share with you, not to do how I did. Some photos as I was going up. You see behind, I imagine my beef, right? Because we talked about the FireRock fireplace being just kind of we're going to call it the framing inside of a house. It's got no structure, no appearance, no look, no aesthetic, no comfort. It's just what has to be there to burn a fire safely. It's the guts. It's not the body. It's not what's going to make it nice. So that's my back wall I'm adding to make it beefy and sexy. All right. So now I've got my back wall all the way up. It's my poor fiance. She's still out here slaving away with me. Of course, I make her pose every time we finish any particular segment. This is Ruckus, the dog. Ruckus was there for every mile and required us for basically every slab, every trowel full of mortar that we throw him some sort of bone to fetch and chase. So he was integrally involved in the work that was take place to complete our project. All right, now here we go. Now I have the second Woodbox up. I've got a lot of beef going on, and now it's starting to look good, right? And I want you to observe. It's going to be a little harder. I might even go back to the phone and blow this up. Now I have plumbed the gas line in completely at this point. So my gas line is gone down back to the ground behind you, if you remember, where I've just had the coiled line sitting for several months. And these are just nipples and elbows available from Home Depot. They sell a gas key valve there, no problem. This is a few dollars on the internet from a Fireplace company. This is going to be $175. All this stuff is $25 at Home Depot. It costs nothing. You just find the nipples that build the environment that you need and get your key situated where you need it. You can saw, cut, whack. Actually, what I didn't show you is, prior to going up with this Woodbox, I laid all this in. So I had a base course, on this Woodbox, but when I saw where the holes were coming out, I went ahead and constructed everything I needed. I laid all of the gas lines at that point, cut little notches in the blocks that I needed to cut. If you need to cut a notch in a block, you can just cut 2 vertical lines and smack it with a hammer, and it'll just pop right out. So you don't have to cut the bottom line in a U, just 2 vertical lines, smack, and it'll just fall out. So like this little notch for my gas key, 2 vertical lines, smack with a hammer, falls right out. So that's how all of that gas line went in there. And again, I cannot stress how important it is to have that gas pre-lighter there. Now, if you recall earlier, I mentioned I have some brick straps here. These brick straps are going to be because I'm going to start laying cap blocks up here to add beef up that. So I'm going to add beef here, and beef halfway up there because I'm going to thick it and then step it down so that it looks sexy all the way up to the top. There's some side views. There's my gas line. Now, what I did with this, by the way, I did give you some more of my thought process on the gas line. I could have hidden this whole gas line inside the walls of the structure of this. I purposefully left them exposed because if I ever have to repair this or fix a leak, I would be completely, totally screwed if I had to tear the structure apart to reroute this or repair it or fix it. So I left as much exposed as I could, because this is going to end up stuccoed in here, because I'm just going to stack logs in here. Nobody's ever going to see this. But if I ever have to repair it, then I can. So you won't find that tip from any mason on the internet, because they want you to not do this yourself. All right, here's my gas line going in. And again, all this is going to end up covered with stone, so you're not going to see this gas line. Down here is kind of an interesting little artifact. I've got a T here with a cap on it. I hope you can see this from where you're at. But I actually intend to run another line off, bury it, take it up, send it up, and I'm gonna plumb it to my gas grill, so that I don't even have to ever go schlep gas tanks around ever again. We have a nice little, also a little LP fired fireplace table up on that level that we like to sit at. If we don't even want to take the time to go down and light logs, we can go click and have a fire and go inside, turn up, and we're done. So I've got that pre-plumbed, stubbed if you will, to go on up to that level if I want that. So there you go. There's my wood boxes, my back beef, and such for that. Here's a top view. We're looking down here at what's going on. And in here, I've just started slinging mortar and crap, as we go down here and scrape these walls, because eventually we're going to fill this with concrete, as I told you about. So there's our fireplace. Structure's high. And let's talk about core filling along the way. Now, I core filled 2 corners of this. So if you look up here, you'll see these kind of appear white with mortar on them. Those are holes through every one of the things that go all the way down into the structure of the fireplace. They're called hurricane holes so that you can fill those with concrete and slide a stick of rebar down in there. I live in North Georgia. If there's a hurricane here bad enough to knock this fireplace over, I'm probably worried more about my house than the fireplace. Nonetheless, I'm a maniac, so I hurricane filled this structure on 2 of the 4 holes and ran rebar down in them and capped them with mortar to make sure that it was ridiculously overbuilt, which is my nature. I also did the same, if you see, on the 2 corners of the back wall that I added to beef up the fireplace. So I added some extra mortar there to make that wall more structurally sound and stable. Whoops, what did I do? Looks like there's a video. I'm gonna skip over that. All right, this is a big moment, for me, because I created fire, and I can kind of, really enjoy that moment as I created fire. So this is test firing my gas line, making sure that everything's functioning there. So that was pretty cool. Again, here's my tent. I was working on this section of my wood box. I move that tent around constantly, trying to provide myself shade. The difference for working in the shade is absolutely insane compared to being out into the sunlight. So actually, silly enough, we just sat here and watched that burn one night, because we'd been working on it for 4 or 5 months. That was good enough for us to have a glass of wine and enjoy our progress. Look at my poor, horrid, wrecked, damaged hands and fingers. Here's Ruckus. He's actually tired from just watching me work. That's how hard this job is. I don't think it cannot be understated. You will need an extremely powerful fan. This is a $179 fan from Lasco. I highly recommend it. You'll need a squirrel cage type fan. It's pretty good. It also, the name brand's Lasco. It also has outlets on the side of it, so that you can plug other items into it remotely. You can see you'll need an assortment of ladders, brooms. There's the saw, which I wish I had known more. I wouldn't have used that as much. There's your trowel, your most common tool, a bucket, hammers for beating on stuff. You're going to be doing a lot of hammering. And your dog is going to be very, very tired. The other thing nice about a quality fan like this Lasco one is the nozzle can toggle, so as your work moves or progresses upward, you can aim the nozzle at you so you stay cool. Here's me working on the base courses for the water feature here for our water wall. So I started with the front wall of it. And then I had to space the back out to where I needed it to be. Now, in here, I had to build in a drain pipe so that I had a way to drain the structure as it went on. Again, note the shade. You're going to need the shade. I used different weighted objects to make sure that that even in a hot, heavy storm or thunderstorm here, that the canopy couldn't be pulled away or blown apart. There's Ruckus on the job, providing us with his bone, which is very important work for him. All right, so here we are getting started more again with the base course on the water wall. All right, now our water wall has obviously made a significant jump. And here's a couple of chairs because now we've enjoyed watching the gas log lighter burn natural gas wildly on its own. We put the log grate in there because that just felt good to put it there. I've come up with the water wall now, the back wall of the water wall, and to give this some structural integrity, I interlocked a wall with it, an opposed wall, basically not quite perpendicular, but inside a perpendicular. All of the stones are interlocked there, and then eventually we will core fill several levels of this with full-length rebar and concrete to lock this wall together because there isn't anything particularly holding it vertically to strengthen it. So we did that with other enhancements to make it strong and structurally rigid and sound. So you can kind of see the way we did that. This corner was a super bitch, and I don't know if I'll have any good pictures of that, but basically 2 square blocks overlaying each other just kind of makes a mess. And so in the end, it took us just days at a time. We would just build that up with mortar as we were standing around with excess mortar. Anytime we were done for the night, we'd go by and start at the bottom and just start slathering in that corner to kind of start filling in that corner and round it up. There will be a joke. I hope I have a picture later of how I screwed myself in here, which I'll warn you about. See if we come across that somewhere. There's our drain, which is free floating at the moment. And what's going to go on in here is, this is just an empty basin at the moment. This is a very low profile 90-degree turn with a drain on it. We're going to turn that up. We're going to have a concrete basin here. And then on top of the concrete is going to come another very special shaped. We're going to shape it with mortar to give it a structure and make it round like a bathtub. And then in the end, I'll come back to the water wall. We're going to talk about a very special stuff called pool plaster, which is nearly impossible to find anybody to help me figure out how to do all this. But I'll get to that later as we progress. All right, so you're starting to get the big picture here. So if we were sitting in the hot tub, here's going to be our view. What remains to be seen is in the spring of 2020, we're going to build an epic pergola over all this so that we don't have to look at any of these people that live around us anymore. we're going to block them out entirely and pretend they're not even there. So here's our structure. Here's what I was talking about, is trying to turn a corner with a less than 90-degree corner with cinder blocks. It's very complex and messy. So just in our spare time, we started filling with excess mortar gaps, vertical gaps, where we were going to try and hold water, and we had messes to deal with. So all of these things, you just, when you're done at the end of the night, take your excess mud right up in there and start filling it so you don't waste anything. And because it's going to take time to do all that stuff anyway. Here you can see what's eventually my drain pipe. This is going to be my spillway, which, to make a water wall, there's a company called the Atlantic that makes very cool specific products for water walls and water features. They have a reverse aimed spillway. Most spillways have water just kind of pour out and down into a pond. This one turns the water around backwards and aims it at a wall. So this is going to be the hole that accommodates that. Here's my gas lines plumbed in, obviously, because we've already had gas going up into the wall. This brick is just protecting my electric line so that the lawn maintenance guys come by and don't beat the shit out of it with a weed whacker and tear my electric line up. So I protected my electric line with this block so that as they come by, they don't wreck my wire and make it and ruin it. Here's Ruckus on morning inspection. So here's kind of the gist, right? So now you can kind of see what it might look like. All right. So now I talked to you earlier about how I injured my hands, and so this was in August of 2018. It's January of 2020, and that's not healed. It's healed, but so I don't have open sores anymore. But the cinder blocks actually ground my fingerprints away. I had no fingerprints left. My hands cracked. I got cinder or concrete dirt and dust into below my skin level. And so I've had to visit a dermatologist. It's been a nightmare. My finger is still hard as a rock. It doesn't have much sensation to it. So this is because I didn't wear gloves, and I should have been wearing gloves. So please don't do what I did. And now we're going to start into Waterwall construction. So I'm going to stop this one, and we're going to talk about how I start building more of the Waterwall. All right. So I'm Max. Please like this video. If you're enjoying this content, share it with your friends who are dreaming of such an outdoor project in their backyard. And don't forget to subscribe to my channel, and I'll keep the cool content coming.